So the title of my talk is Through the ISS Looking Glass. This is the International Space Station. It is flying at 220 kilometers over the planet, over 17,000 miles per hour. So the inspiration for this talk, if I can go on to the next, so this is Dr. Piers Sellers. So he was a very passionate earth scientist and climate scientist, and I had the joy of working with him over the past few years. He actually did a few spacewalks. I got a chance to ask Dr. Sellers, what was it like in space? What was it like when you were on the International Space Station? And he had a phrase, he said, what I noticed, it was infinitely delicate in how precious our planet is. Now this is called the thin blue line. This is our atmosphere. It's very thin. How thin, do you say? How thin is it? It is so thin that if the apple was the planet Earth, the skin of this apple is 20 times thicker than our Earth's atmosphere, just to put that in perspective. So there's something that happens to astronauts when they go in space. They call it the overview effect. It's the effect of viewing the Earth from space. Okay, and this changes people's beliefs. It changes how they relate to their friends and family, how they approach religion and their work. And the only thing that's happened to them is they view the Earth differently. Okay, so and what happens, if you look at, this is the first image ever taken of the planet Earth. This is from 1946. They put a camera on a rocket, shot it into space, and they got this picture. So 72 years later, we're able to tell a bunch of really cool things about the Earth just from viewing it differently. And that's my point. And so from that different perspective, we get a paradigm shift. Okay, paradigm shift is essentially just viewing something, having a different understanding of something you once viewed a certain way, then you view it a new way. Okay, so if you think, you go back and think about what is knowledge, what is science, this dude, he's not a rock star, he's actually Plato, I believe, but he had something called knowledge is justified true belief. Okay, so taking something you believed, emphasizing that with knowledge. Now these are the True Believers. This is one of the best rock bands ever from Austin. Alejandro Escovedo was a great communicator, and he still performs, and what he does is changes people's beliefs through knowledge and information, right? Through music. So, for example, I was going to play my banjo. I'll play it later. It's not just knowledge, it's also feelings that you convey. So you can convey information through talking or writing or playing music. So this is a picture, I believe, of how we communicate science. And this is a statue here called the Torchbearers. Simply, it was meant to signify transferring knowledge from one generation to the next. Everyone in this room, you're all torchbearers. We are charged with taking this information, changing people's beliefs and knowledge through information exchange. This is my daughter, Lily. She's going to be in the next torchbearer. And right here, she's learning about static electricity. And how is she doing that? She's observing things. She's observing when she rubs her head on a balloon, that balloon does stuff and it sticks to the wall. So how can we take that concept and apply it to earth science? So if you look here at this glacier, this is a glacier in 1986. Okay, when the British surveyors first explored this region in the 1700s, it reached down here, where we just saw. It hadn't moved that much since 1986, but in just a few years, it has receded hundreds of miles. Okay, and this is a way of conveying what is climate change, what's really happening. Okay, if you look at another example, just from taking a picture of the planet Earth from space, we're able to assess the impact of logging, and this is the Amazonia. So this is western Brazil. And in this area, there's a lot of roads and a lot of infrastructure. But just from 2000 to 2012, there's been a dramatic increase in logging. Okay, now if you were going to go tell your neighbor, like, hey, logging's bad, is doing a bad thing, they would say, oh, that's bad. But when you show them this picture, you can't help but understand the importance of that. So another example of using satellite observations for collecting information, if you look at Shanghai in 1984, I guess this is a great place to go for dumplings. It was a lot of fun. Roughly 110 people, or 10,000, or million people, 1984. You could still get around as a relatively small industrial city for China. In 2016, it had exploded to over 786 million people. Okay. Now, taking these just satellite images, these images were taken from the ISS. Okay, so what can we do with that? So a paradigm shift in our understanding. So this is a torchbearer. She was the oldest carrier of the Olympic torch ever. And what's really cool about that is she carried the Olympic torch, and I use that as a way of saying that Dr. Sellers was a torchbearer, and he helped inspire me about the importance of communicating science just through that viewing of the Earth in his paradigm shift from the ISS. And in honor of Dr. Sellers. Thank you so much.